We've been watching this together. We want to get right to our panel to discuss in the News Center this afternoon. We've got Democratic strategist Nicole Brenner-Schmitz and Republican strategist Matt Klink. So let's just start with what we just heard from Pirro, talking about taking these charges, what happened there in D.C. very seriously, calling it a priority for the president, and for her, defacing monuments is not the way of a civilized society. Just one quote from that. So let's start with you, Nicole, and get your thoughts on what you thought about what you heard.
Well, no one's supporting defacing monuments, but it sounds like this person merely touched some of the peeling that was happening in this reflecting pool. So this seems like the Trump's MO, really just go after those that they feel like are political enemies, create different news stories so that they don't have to talk about the fact that Americans are frustrated with the economy. They're frustrated with the fact that childcare feels like a second mortgage. They're frustrated with the fact that grocery prices are going up and wages remain stagnant.
All right, Matt, what did you hear in that presser? Because she was pretty clear that she thought that there was significant damage that was done.
Yeah, and therein lies the Democratic excuse. Blame the perpetrator of the crime as the victim and point fingers at everybody else. Look, what this person did was wrong. She deserves to be prosecuted for it. She did more than touch the lining in the pool. She actually pulled it off. So, look, they've got the goods. It appears that she's going to be charged and hopefully convicted of a felony. We can have a much broader conversation about the state of America, but this one act by this person was wrong, and it is disturbing that my colleague can't admit that this person screwed up. Plain and simple.
Well, listen, we just had that breaking news of that press conference that we watched together. We had you guys on because we wanted to talk about a couple of other things. So thank you very much for chiming in last minute on that. I want to get back to the socialist surge that we've been talking about today with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez throwing her support behind Democratic Michigan candidate Abdul El-Sayed. Now, Sayed having some tough criticism for the Democratic Party in all of this. Let's listen together.
I'm a Democrat insofar as the Democratic Party is honest about its commitment to the ideals it says it's about. But too often what we see is that the party betrays its own ideals to keep up a bipartisan consensus in opposition to what's good for everyday people.
All right, Nicole, I'll start with you. Do you think this kind of messaging is resonating with voters right now? And if so, why?
I mean, look, there are clearly parts of the Democratic coalition and base that want and demand big change. And we've seen some of that change happen in our very, very deep blue, safe districts. But the reality is that the flipping of the House or the change in the majority is going to happen in the middle. It's going to happen in a lot of these suburban seats. It's going to be about candidates that fit their district, that are talking about the affordability problem, that are addressing what these families want, which is to have a safe school for their kid to go to, be able to afford their lives, have a vacation, have a good retirement. That's what the conversation is going to be about. This primary is going to be a dogfight until the end. It's not a surprise to see AOC pick this person in this primary. Mm-hmm. But again, this is what's happened in some very deep blue, safe districts. It's a different story when it comes to the whole state of Michigan.
Yeah, and let's talk about what's happening in New York City. We've got the mayor, Zohran Mamdani, set to give a speech tomorrow marking America's 250th birthday, surrounded by recently naturalized citizens. And obviously, you know what's been going on here in New York. But, Matt, this speech is set for hours before President Trump's address. So, I mean, is it competing? Do you think that it's a smart idea? How do you think Trump might respond to all of this? What do you think?
Look, Zohran Mamdani is clearly speaking for his constituents in New York City. So apparently it's big news there. I guarantee you people in my part of the world don't care what the mayor of New York City has to say. So, no, I mean, he should do it. He's a national political figure. He deserves to talk to his constituents. And bravo to him. More power to it. That's not going to deter or distract Donald Trump from talking about America's 250th birthday. I can guarantee you, though, that Donald Trump's speech will be a heck of a lot more patriotic than Zohran Mamdani's speech will be.
Well, we've got a very busy next few days, obviously, and we're also watching this. Congressman Tom Suozzi writing in the Wall Street Journal that Democrats must reclaim the language of patriotism, saying letting Republicans own it is a disservice. Nicole, I mean, how do you think Democrats are going to do that?
I do think everybody's celebrating America's 250th. I live here in D.C. I'm a Democrat. I know all of us are celebrating our country. I think what Tom Suozzi was talking about was not letting it be something that seems that it's not part of the Democratic Party because we have some criticisms. You can't because you love America doesn't mean that there aren't some improvements. He's saying embrace capitalism. He's saying embrace what has made America good and realize that the reason America is so amazing is because we have learned from mistakes and moved forward in progress, right? Slavery, women being able to vote, et cetera, that we can continue to point to how America can improve. And that is actually a testament to our patriotism, not what the antithesis of it. So I loved what Tom Suozzi said. I think that the party does need to make sure that what being patriotic means celebrating and loving our country and acknowledging how we can make it even better in the future.
Well, we have a lot of celebrations coming up, and we're covering it all on News Nation. We're going to be in D.C., here in New York, across the country. Nicole Brenner-Schmidt and Matt Klink, we want to thank you very much for being on today. Appreciate it.
Thanks a million.
All right, you guys. Thank you. Happy 4th. And tomorrow.